Welcome to Mountain Cooking with Missy. Today I'm going to show y'all how to make a easy homemade yellow cake recipe with this delicious chocolate buttercream going right on top of it. It's the best simple cake ever. All right, y'all, you ready for some good old-timey yellow cake? I mean, honestly, some people call this a birthday cake. The old timers years ago, I mean, y'all, if your mommy or your mamaw ever made you a birthday cake and you're over the age of 50, we'll say, I'm 53, then likelihood you got this kind of cake, just a good old yellow cake with chocolate frosting. And that's what this is going to be. So this is as simple as it gets. It's a made from scratch cake, but it's really easy and there's not a lot to it. So we're going to get right into it. So this is one of my favorite cakes because I love a yellow cake and with chocolate frosting. So tell me your favorite combination. Do you like yellow cake with chocolate frosting, or vanilla frosting, or chocolate cake with chocolate frosting? Just let me know what you like. But this is one of my favorites. It's one of my mom's favorites too. So I'm definitely going to be giving her some of this cake. So what you're going to need for the cake is you're going to need a half a cup of butter, which is a stick of softened butter, unsalted butter at room temperature. You need it soft. You're going to need 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour. I am using White Lily's all-purpose flour for this. It's really soft for this kind of cake. I'm using 2 teaspoons of baking powder, a half a teaspoon of salt, a cup of sugar, a half a cup of buttermilk, room temperature, 2 eggs at room temperature, and a half a teaspoon of real vanilla extract. So that's what you're going to need for the cake part. So I'm just going to go ahead and get my 2 cups of flour ready. So I'm going to show you how to get your flour out the right way, especially when you're making a cake. So you can get too much flour if you take your measuring cup down in here and you try to scoop it, you're going to pack that flour in and you don't want to do that. And y'all, look at just my pretty bowl. I've bragged about my pretty bowl before. And y'all, I've had this for years. I got it at a yard sale a long time ago. But I'm going to put my flour in this bowl. I'm going to sift it in here. Also, something else I want to share with you is this was my mamaw Ellie's apron. I don't use it because it is old. The little pocket is just about torn off. I've had this ever since I got married. She died about a year or so before I got married, but I got her apron and look at it. It's just a half apron that goes around like this, but I don't use it much because I'm afraid to. I don't want to get it real dirty. It's already got some stains on it, but look at that. And she made this apron. So look at that. You remember when I used to sew those little wavy borders on? Y'all, look. So this was my mamaw Ellie's apron. Ain't it pretty? And I actually need to probably try to fix it, but I'm not much of a seamstress. But I've kept it all these years. So I just wanted to share that with you. I thought y'all would like that. So I'm going to take it's 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour. So you want to spoon your flour in real gentle like. And so I'm just going to get that all in, and you don't want to pack it. And once you get it like up to the top, I just level that off. Just level it off. And I'm just going to put it right into my sifter thingy here, and I'm just going to sift that in. So when you're sifting your flour in, just go ahead and sift like your baking ingredients in. I'm doing 2 heaping teaspoons of baking powder. Usually when it calls for baking powder, I do a heaping teaspoon, and I'm doing 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And all you do is just sift that right in. I'm sifting that right in with my additional 1/2 cup of flour. So I got 1.5 cups of my flour already sifted. Now it's time to cream your butter and your sugar. So putting that butter in my mixing bowl here, and I'm going to add in my sugar. And I'm just going to put that in the mixing bowl and let it fluff up. So you're going to beat that until it's fluffy and light. So I'm going to start adding in my eggs. And I put my teaspoon of vanilla right in with my eggs. So I'm going to put them in there one at a time. And I'm going to give that a couple more minutes. So once it's fluffy, you want to turn it down and you want to start adding in your flour mixture. Now I'm going to alternate it with the buttermilk. Just start pouring it in a little at a time until it's all mixed in. All right, now the cake is mixed up. Now this is, let me just say, this is a very small recipe. This is an old recipe and it's small. So you could easily double this or triple this. But I'm going to put this, I'm going to bake this in, this is a little 2-quart baking dish. It's probably maybe an 8x8, what we consider maybe an 8x8 or a 9x9. It's not a 9x13 because this is not a big enough recipe for a 9x13. And I'm just spraying it real good with some Baker's Joy. I like to use Baker's Joy when it comes to baking so that it won't stick. But if you wanted to double this recipe, you could probably do 2 8-inch round pans or a 9x13. Or if you wanted to use the recipe that I'm using, the same amount that I just used, if you wanted to do a little layer cake, you could do 2 6-inch round layers, would make a little tiny layer cake. So it's kind of, so it is a small recipe. So just going to put the batter, look how the batter is really nice and thick and creamy. And this is going to bake up. This is kind of a really light, fluffy cake. And the eggs that I used were farm fresh eggs, so the cake is nice and yeller looking because of those good yeller egg yolks. Yeller, that's what my mommy says, yeller. So, or you can bake this probably in a good size, like one of those loaf pans. You can make a loaf cake out of it if you wanted. But you can easily double it or triple it. That's up to you. And y'all, I'm not afraid of raw eggs, so yeah. I'm licking the batter. It's so good. Now my oven's preheated to 350. This is going to bake only for about maybe 15-20 minutes. Just keep an eye on it. Don't overbake it. Check on it, and if it springs back, if you touch it in the middle and it springs back, or if you put a toothpick in there and it comes out clean, go ahead and get it out. So y'all get to see it when it comes out, and then we're going to make the chocolate frosting. Now I'm going to make a half recipe for my chocolate buttercream frosting. I'm using 1 stick of softened butter. I'm going to use a 1/2 cup of cocoa powder. I'm using Hershey's Dark. I'm going to need about 2 to 3 cups of powdered sugar, a teaspoon of vanilla extract, a 1/4 teaspoon of coffee extract. Totally optional, but y'all, it brings out the flavor of the chocolate frosting always. I always put a little bit of coffee extract in my chocolate frostings. Nobody ever knows the difference. It just brings it out so good. You're gonna need about a 1/4 cup of heavy cream or whole milk to make this. You want to fluff up your butter a little bit, and you're going to add in the cocoa powder, your heavy cream, the vanilla extract, and the coffee extract. I'm going to start adding the sugar about a cup at a time. It should take about 2 to 3 cups of sugar, powdered sugar. Now you want to scrape your sides down, and this is a rule when it comes to making any kind of frosting, especially buttercream. If it's stiff, and oftentimes it will, that 1/4 cup of heavy cream can turn into a 1/2 cup. You drizzle in enough milk, or heavy cream or milk, until you get it to the consistency that you like. So it may take a little more of the milk. So this is about the consistency that you want for your frosting. It's swirly, you can still swirl it, but it's not stiff, but it still holds on to the spoon. So that's about the consistency that you want. All right, now, so the cake is done and it's cooled and we're getting ready to frost it. Just want you to know that oven times and baking times will vary. Since this was a smaller little dish, it did take mine about 30 minutes to bake. So just keep in mind with that, but also just be careful, don't over bake it, because if you over bake cakes, they get dry, and y'all, I don't want a dry cake. So I'm going to, y'all just look at it, nice and pretty, nice and yeller. So y'all, this good stuff right here goes right on it. This, look at that chocolate buttercream, to me is the best on yeller cake. And any kind of buttercream or any kind of frosting that you make, if you have leftover frosting, just put it in a container, like an old Cool Whip container or something, put it in the refrigerator. It'll keep for about up to probably 2 weeks maybe in the refrigerator, as long as you keep it sealed up. Or you can just put it in the freezer and it'll keep for about 6 months. And it'll be good. And y'all, I like a lot of frosting. Y'all just tell me, do you like a lot of frosting or not? Some people don't. I just don't get how some people say they like cake without frosting. I'm like, I don't know about that. So, but I do. I like a lot. And we're just spreading this on. Look at that. Make you some cute little swirls. This would make a beautiful little layer cake too. So whatever you want to do, ever how you want to do it, just frost it and make you some pretty swirls. Y'all, you want it to look pretty. And there you go. Look at that. So we're going to cut into it in a little bit. Y'all know my taste tester always has to have a bite. So when we come back, we'll do a taste test. Alrighty. So Daddy's gonna have a bite of this cake.
Check that out.
Hi.
Thank you, Lord, for this cake.
Good old yeller cake, homemade chocolate buttercream. Daddy's favorite frosting, by the way. All right.
Sorry, guys. I could eat the frosting right out of the...
Yeah, right off the top. Skin it. You can skin it alive, huh? Daddy approves.
100%.
There y'all go. It's a simple cake.
That's delicious.
Simple yeller cake with some chocolate buttercream. Hope you make it. Yeah.
Sorry, guys. I got swept away with just eating.
All right. Thank y'all for watching Mountain Cooking with Missy, where it's nothing fancy.
Oh, just good eating.
Good eating.